Finally, we have finished the theory part of the cross-cultural adjustment process. How do they look like in real life? We're going to look at a real example, and you will have the task to judge which stage is this in different slides. Slide 1. Anna is from Australia. She is planning to visit the Philippines for 3 months because she knows some friends of hers in that area who owns a spare apartment in Manila in the slum area, and she thought, I want to know more about the world. I want to explore. She then planned the trip with her friends in Manila and tried to learn the local language, Tagalog, in advance. She bought plane tickets and applied for a tourist visa in advance. She's expectant, excited, and a little scared. Guess which stage is this? Slide 2. She arrived in the area, stayed in the apartment that her friend has, and the first few nights she just woke up to the rooster call and she felt, oh, that's new. I never experienced that in Australia. Isn't it nice to enjoy nature in such a way? So every morning she wakes up to the rooster call and it kind of draws her back to the countryside, the sense of nature, and she really enjoys being in Manila. She would explore the streets and found the kids on the street playing some kind of game with stones. She wouldn't recognize the game, but thought, oh, it's nice the kids play. It's a very vibrant and positive community. Women would sit together to play a kind of card game with each other. And she thought, oh, how lovely it is for the people to gel in such a way. People back home don't get along well as a community like this. People back home are more individualistic. Everyone's busy about their own things, and you don't see crowds and crowds of kids and women and men in the same place interact with each other in such a communal way. And she thought, this is so much better than my home. Slide 3. About a month into her journey, she discovered, shockingly, that everyone, absolutely everybody, gambled. So the roosters that she hears in the morning are actually used by illegal tournament, and she later found out that whatever roosters that were used in those illegal gambling tournament most likely would die afterwards. And suddenly the call is no longer a beautiful countryside connection to nature, but it has another layer of meaning. And the women and children playing with stones and cards are actually gambling as well. As she can see now, that gambling is a very important, is a very prevalent part of the community. And she also learned about drug abuse in especially the slum area that she lives in. And suddenly she learns more about the downward spiral of drug abuse, of gambling and poverty, all in one packet. She now can see the logic between the factors that was innocent in the beginning. Slide 4, 2 months. We're now in the middle and closing to the end of the journey. And she's sitting, reflecting on the trip, and she had now a deeper understanding of both Australia and Philippines. She was able to hear stories of how the locals were fighting with drug abuse, how many lives were destroyed by it, the heartbreaking stories, but also how many volunteers, not just in Manila, but also internationally, many people are working together to bring communities back, or trying to curtail, or trying to limit the destructive influence from the drugs, and are trying to protect the young and trying to educate people and provide new opportunities for the people in Manila. She sees both resilience and tenacity in the locals. So the fear element that she experienced before is gradually replaced by a new vision a new understanding of how people are coping with that broken situation. And she also suddenly had a newfound appreciation of the comforts of home. She suddenly realized, despite the materialism, despite the individualism back home, she would appreciate the level of safety and security that her home provides that she never noticed or nor appreciated before. Slide 5. 3 months time's up. It's time to pack up and go. She took the return ticket and went home. For the first time, she felt a relief of familiarity in that entire 3 months. Finally, this makes sense. People speak my language, and the climate is something I'm used to, and yet something doesn't sit right. Very quickly, she finds out that friends and family treated her exactly the same way as before, that everyone just carried it on, and hardly ever noticed the changes that happened in Anna in the 3 months journey in Manila. And sadly, no one was interested to hear her. She has so many stories to tell, and yet people, oh yeah, tell me more, and then just drag on to some other more everyday sort of topics. And she found that she was also starting to discover or notice how wasteful people back home were, because she was able to stay in the middle, in the center of the community, in the slum area, which is marked by poverty. She was able to see how people were creatively using the small amount of resources they have, and was able to make a happy life, and she learned to appreciate what she had. But she now back home notices how people really are wasteful in the way they spend money, in the way they buy materials and just throw them about. And she felt angry and she felt frustrated. And worse is that she felt depressed and isolated once more, which she did not expect to experience back home. She even, at some point, missed being in Manila and wanted to be back. The answer, I'm sure this is self-explanatory for you, that each slide represented a classic stage. The only difference is in slide 4, I merged 3 and 4 together. I guess it's quite hard to tell a clean cut of each stage, but roughly you can see the markers, and that is one example from Anna. Did you get it right? Was it easy? I hope it is. Which stage was easy to discern for you and which one would be a bit tricky? So reflect on that, and we will come to the end of our learning journey.